Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of which, I want to bring in. I know one of your passions also is the idea of flow, and it's linked to workplace performance. I'm a big fan of flow. You know, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's work, and I don't know if you're also into his work. And um, how could for the audience, could you talk a little bit about what flow is and how you can bring that in as an individual, and can it also exist in a team function?
For sure. I love this topic. And I think one way to help understand what flow is to talk about it a little bit more broadly in terms of there's four states of consciousness. Eric Dane has done a good job, I think, creating this 2 by 2 to help understand the different states of consciousness that could be applied in a work setting. So you have present moment attention. It could be low or it could be high. When you're in flow, your present moment attention is very high. And then you also have this sense of your attention being very narrow or being very wide. With flow, your attention is very narrow. So time flies by. Your your abilities are a perfect match for the demands of the situation, and you are just cranking it out, and time flies by. So you're so narrowly focused, and your attention is narrow that you just aren't paying attention to anything else. That is one of our most productive states for deep thinking, right? If you're writing, if you're coding, if you're trying to solve a very complex problem, that's the type of mindset that is super helpful, and it feels good, and you're getting a lot done. And so, ideally, we should be setting ourselves up for as much opportunity as possible to get into flow. Whether it's managing our schedule, managing the people around us to stay away when we're trying to get into flow, or whatever it is. So the more opportunities you can create for yourself to engage in flow throughout the workday is going to be helpful. But there's also other states of consciousness within that 2 by 2. One of them we've already talked about, which is mindfulness. That's also present moment attention, but it's a wide attention, right? So you're being present, but you're also very focused on all the environmental stimuli happening within your environment. That type of state of consciousness is very helpful when you're interacting with others, when you're trying to see the big picture, yet also take notes, and you're trying to engage with people, but at the same time, you're trying to think through what's the next steps, right? That's hard. You have all sorts of different things going on, and you have to be open and aware to everything going on in your situation. The ones that are not good, the states of consciousness that are unproductive, are just ruminating and thinking about the past, or fantasizing and thinking about the future. So that's narrow thinking, or a narrow state of consciousness, but it's not necessarily helpful, right? You're not being present and focusing on the current moment, thinking about past or future. And then mind wandering is the fourth, where you're all over the place. You're not present, but you're also kind of jumping around everywhere. That is our default state of consciousness, mind wandering. And the more we can bring it back to being more mindful or being in flow, the happier we'll be and the more productive we'll be. It's a great study in Science by Killingsworth that talks about mind wandering. A non-mind wandering mind is a happy mind.
A non-mind wandering mind is a happy mind. Why is that?
Well, the research they did was really interesting. They did a study where everyone had an app on their phone, and they would ping them at random times through the day, and they'd ask them 3 questions: What are you doing right now? Um, how happy are you? And were you paying attention to what you were doing right now? And so we don't necessarily know the mechanisms involved as to why, but we do know pretty clearly that no matter what you're doing, it didn't matter if you're working, working out, eating, um, talking with someone about a complicated subject, it didn't matter. As long as you were present, you were focused on that specific conversation and not mind wandering about something else, you were much happier. And then interestingly, also, we are mind wandering the vast majority of our day, no matter what task we're doing, and all tasks except one, and that's making love. That was it.
Okay. There you go. It's an assignment for everyone who's listening.
There you go.
Okay.